Wow. I haven't seen this since I cashed it in.
The Money in the Bank concept has now been around for more than 17 years. 26 male superstars, 5 female winners. They've all held that briefcase. Chris Jericho may have been the brains behind the concept, but he has never been one of those elite winners. The Money in the Bank briefcase has most often been a golden ticket to take a superstar to the next level, but not everybody has succeeded with that instant game-changing opportunity. Let's look at the history of the Money in the Bank, where we reveal every single winner from its inception until now. The rated R superstar Edge holds the honor of being the first ever Mr. Money in the Bank, winning the briefcase at WrestleMania 21 in a chaotic ladder match. Edge's cash-in led to a brief run as WWE Champion, but it would be his first of 11 world title reigns, cementing him as a main event player and one of the best pro wrestlers of the Ruthless Aggression era. Rob Van Dam became the second Mr. Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 22 and was also the first to have his cash-in announced beforehand. With WWE at the time reviving the ECW brand and the upcoming ECW One Night Stand pay-per-view, RVD knew that he would be in hometown hardcore territory with fans waving signs saying, "If Cena wins, we riot." And yeah, he had that advantage going in to take on Cena for the WWE Championship. But Edge would interfere in the match and help RVD win. You're gonna see more of Edge on this list. Mr. Kennedy was set for his big break after winning the Money in the Bank briefcase at WrestleMania 23, although he announced beforehand that he was planning to cash in the contract 11 months later at WrestleMania 24. A badly timed injury and misdiagnosis of that injury meant that he had to drop the briefcase. To explain this, WWE booked a match between him and, surprise, surprise, the ultimate opportunist, Edge, and Kennedy ended up putting the briefcase on the line. Why did you do that, Kennedy? Edge would win the briefcase and cash it in immediately a few days later on SmackDown after The Undertaker went the distance with a rival of his at the time, Batista, in a steel cage. Something of a pattern, people being taken advantage of while they're in a steel cage match. Mark Henry then attacked The Undertaker, allowing Edge to swoop in like a vulture and run away with the World Heavyweight Championship. CM Punk won his first of 2 Money in the Bank matches at WrestleMania 24 and held the briefcase for less than 100 days. For once, it was Edge who was on the receiving end of a cash-in when he was attacked by Batista, who he had sneaked past just a night earlier at the Night of Champions pay-per-view thanks to Edge's faction La Familia. The assault allowed Punk to come in and be luckier than a loser and easily cash in to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. A year later, CM Punk became the first man to win the Money in the Bank twice. Yes, 2 different ladder matches, Punk came out with the briefcase to be able to change the game again. This time, he held on to it for only a couple of months. After Jeff Hardy went in a hardcore war all the way to the limit with Edge for a ladder match bout for the World Heavyweight Championship, CM Punk swooped in and ruined his moment by cashing in on him to win the title, beginning what would be a long heel turn and would really launch CM Punk as one of the top villains of the time in WWE. Collegiate wrestling standout turned WWE superstar Jack Swagger became Mr. Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 26, and was arguably the most underwhelming victory since the inception of the Money in the Bank concept. Some fans simply just didn't get into cashing in on this one. It was the quickest cash-in to date at that point, holding the briefcase for only 2 days or 5 days if you count the tape delay that SmackDown was on. Chris Jericho was then the best in the world at what he does, coming off a win over Edge at WrestleMania that year, and after bragging about his victory, the rated R superstar assaulted him, injuring Jericho, allowing a certain opportunistic situation where Swagger swagged in and took advantage of it with a big gut-wrench powerbomb to make himself, shockingly, the new World Heavyweight Champion. It's easy to forget that Swagger was once a world champion in WWE. This would mark the last time that Edge was involved, indirectly or directly, with that precious Money in the Bank briefcase, because he would retire, unfortunately, only a year later. 2010 was the first time that WWE had 3 different Money in the Bank holders, and this wouldn't be repeated until a decade later in 2020. More on that in a little bit. In 2010, WWE held the inaugural Money in the Bank pay-per-view event, and decided that it was a good idea to have a different winner for each brand, Raw and SmackDown. Kane became the Mr. Money in the Bank and beat Swagger's record when he took only 49 minutes to cash in, beating a prone Rey Mysterio to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. The Miz also became Raw's Money in the Bank winner later that night, but he held on to it for much longer, waiting it out for 4 months before cashing in on the Viper, Randy Orton, on an episode of Monday Night Raw in November. The win led to him main eventing WrestleMania, an accomplishment that he will never really shut up about. The Miz's NXT protege, Daniel Bryan, and arguably one of the best technical wrestlers in the world, became the next man to win the Money in the Bank briefcase in a fantastic ladder match at Money in the Bank 2011. Although his first cash-in on Mark Henry was declared invalid because of the ladder not being medically cleared, okay, that didn't stop them with the multiple cash-ins before, Bryan's moment came soon after the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs pay-per-view when he cashed in on Big Show, who just defeated Mark Henry to become a World Heavyweight Champion himself, only to lose it very quickly. Alberto Del Rio was having an incredible year in 2011 and won the Money in the Bank briefcase the same night as Daniel Bryan. He held it for less than a month and cashed in at SummerSlam on CM Punk, controversially after Punk defeated John Cena to win the WWE Championship, but not before Kevin Nash out of nowhere assaulted him. Del Rio took advantage and took Punk's momentum along with the title. The following year, Dolph Ziggler decided to show off with a Money in the Bank ladder match win and held the briefcase for 270 days, just shy of Edge's run with it in 2005 and 2006. Unlike Edge, he defended the briefcase on 2 separate occasions, the first being against Chris Jericho on Raw, and then beating John Cena in a ladder match at TLC. This led to one of the top 3 greatest cash-ins in WWE history as he took advantage of an injured Alberto Del Rio on the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania to a huge ovation to become the new world champ. It remains one of the best reactions for a cash-in ever. The same night that Ziggler became Mr. Money in the Bank, John Cena also added to his never-ending list of accomplishments in WWE by grabbing the briefcase and giving himself an instant cash-in opportunity. But being a man of honor and duty, he said he was going to announce that title shot in advance, much like Rob Van Dam did against him 8 years earlier. Yes, but unlike RVD, Cena was not successful, and he couldn't beat CM Punk, and he became, unfortunately, the first superstar to ever lose a Money in the Bank cash-in. He held on to the briefcase for a little over 100 days, but Cena, who failed to cash in himself, defeated someone who tried to cash in on him, and Sandow never really had the same level of success again in WWE. But let's not forget all the fun he had, doing that impression of The Miz. The same cannot be said for Randy Orton, who slithered his way around the Money in the Bank briefcase the same night as Damian Sandow. He held on to it for only a month before Triple H turned into a villainous heel at the top of the WWE Power Pyramid and declared at SummerSlam 2013 as a special guest referee that Daniel Bryan's crowning moment needed to be ruined. Yes, he defeated John Cena, but no, he wasn't just, championship material in the eyes of WWE's corporate brass. This would mark the final time that WWE had 2 male Money in the Bank ladder matches at once. Perhaps because they realized that wasn't a very good idea. Seth Rollins moved on from the Shield in June of 2014, and success followed him quickly as he became Mr. Money in the Bank thanks to the new Authority faction he was running with. He would have what many consider the greatest cash-in of all time when he pulled off the heist of the century at WrestleMania 31, adding himself to the main event WWE World Title match between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. pinning his former Shield brother Roman Reigns to leave with the title swinging above his head. Fun fact, if you watch the clip of Rollins pinning Reigns, you can hear him saying, "Thank you so much," in what was an unscripted moment. The Celtic Warrior, Sheamus, is a first ballot WWE Hall of Famer, and he has all of the accomplishments to back it up, fella. One of his many accomplishments is becoming Mr. Money in the Bank in 2015. He waited patiently as Roman Reigns became the WWE World Heavyweight Champion at Survivor Series after winning an arduous tournament, only to get booted in the face. Yeah, he took advantage and had Triple H raise his hand as an endorsement, only to lose the title 3 weeks later. The unhinged Dean Ambrose had a underwhelming run with WrestleMania 32 against Brock Lesnar, but after that he quietly built back up. Following a victorious feud against Chris Jericho, he found himself in a prime position to go to the next level. And how do you get there real quick? You win the Money in the Bank briefcase in 2016, and it only took him 57 minutes to cash in after Seth Rollins defeated Roman Reigns in his first match back to reclaim the WWE World title. Ambrose ruined his moment and cashed in to become WWE's top guy. 2017 saw the long overdue introduction of the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, and the last pick of the 2016 draft, Carmella, became the first ever Miss Money in the Bank. But it wasn't so straightforward, as her then SmackDown general manager Daniel Bryan declared that her win was invalid due to James Ellsworth interfering. They ran it back 9 days later on SmackDown, and Ellsworth interfered again, making Carmella the only two-time Women's Money in the Bank holder to date. Technically, I guess. She held the briefcase for 9 months, considerably longer than anyone after her, and cashed in on Charlotte Flair on the SmackDown episode after WrestleMania 34, thanks to some help from the debuting Iconics. Baron Corbin won the men's Money in the Bank ladder match in 2017 and tried cashing in on then WWE champion Jinder Mahal, but John Cena foiled his plans and cost him the match, making it a failed cash-in, and the third time that a failed cash-in involved Jonathan Cena in some form. You could have seen it coming, couldn't you? At this point, you can see it. In 2018, Alexa Bliss twisted her way over a year into a dominant run where she had 2 reigns as the SmackDown and Raw Women's Champion. Already being a 4-time champion by this point, she was now Miss Money in the Bank in 2018 and took only 3 hours to cash in on Nia Jax to regain the Raw Women's title. On the men's side, Bliss's former Mixed Match Challenge partner Braun Strowman won the briefcase and cashed in his title opportunity against the then Universal Champion Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell. Thanks to Brock Lesnar's interference, the match ended in a no contest, with many considering this one of the worst cash-ins of all time. In 2019, Bayley, once beloved in the WWE ranks and considered a successful superstar, regained her way to the top after a 2-year downfall. She continued what would be a trend with the women after winning the Money in the Bank briefcase and cashed in on Charlotte Flair less than an hour and a half later to become the SmackDown Women's Champion, becoming arguably the most important woman in WWE during the pandemic era. Brock Lesnar really aggravated the internet when he won the men's Money in the Bank ladder match out of nowhere, unannounced, and really stole the opportunity from the rising superhero that was Mustafa Ali, who was already unhooking the briefcase at the top of a ladder. Yeah, Lesnar got in there and just crushed another fan favorite. Lesnar cashed in after the main event of Extreme Rules on Seth Rollins, becoming a Universal Champion in WWE for the 3rd time. In 2020, we saw the most unique Money Bank ladder matches of all time since its inception 15 years prior. With no live audience, WWE had the creative freedom to do some very wild things, like climbing the corporate ladder inside of the WWE headquarters in one of the more bizarre nights in WWE history, and certainly one of the most creative during the pandemic era. Both the men's and women's matches were essentially a wild, wacky race through the WWE headquarters building in Stamford, Connecticut, with a ring on top of the building and a ladder. After going through a hilarious series of obstacles, including interrupting Vince McMahon in his office, the matches saw Asuka win the women's ladder match, while Otis emerged as the winner of the men's ladder match. In Asuka's case, the cash-in was fairly straightforward. Becky Lynch announced that she was vacating the title so she could become a mother, making Asuka the de facto Raw Women's Champion and ending Lynch's year-long reign. For Otis, it wasn't that easy. WWE had no clear plans for him when they made him the winner. And later that year, he got into a feud with The Miz where he lost the briefcase to him at Hell in a Cell 2020. The Miz became the fourth two-time Money in the Bank holder in history after Edge, CM Punk, and Carmella, and first cashed in during the TLC match between Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles in a losing effort. Because his partner at the time, John Morrison, declared the cash-in on his behalf. It was announced as invalid. The Miz got his briefcase back, and he had a successful cash-in a couple of months later at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view against Drew McIntyre after the almighty Bobby Lashley took the Scotsman out. The deal in place was that Lashley would get the first dibs on the WWE Championship. But Miz was not keen on holding up his end of the bargain. Only 8 days later, Bobby Lashley beat The Miz on Monday Night Raw to become the WWE Champion. 2021 saw two feel-good victories with the Money in the Bank. The women's ladder match saw Nikki ASH grab the briefcase and cash in on Charlotte Flair one night later on Monday Night Raw to become the new women's champion. Big E was a deserving winner in the hearts of many fans with the men's ladder match, and he had one of the best cash-ins in recent history when he defeated Bobby Lashley in September of that year to become the WWE champion. The always vivacious Liv Morgan was a sentimental favorite when she won the women's ladder match in 2022. Like 3 of the 5 previous winners before her, she cashed in on the same night to end Ronda Rousey's disputed reign as the SmackDown Women's Champion. In the men's ladder match, Mr. McMahon inserted Austin Theory, his chosen superstar, to lead the future as a literal last-minute addition, and he outsmarted 7 other superstars to win the Money in the Bank briefcase and upset a lot of fans along the way. But things were different because Roman Reigns seemingly was unstoppable at this point as the undisputed Universal Champion who you have to acknowledge. With it seemingly feeling like he just simply couldn't cash in that briefcase on a world title opportunity, though he tried a handful of times, he did what nobody else did before. He cashed in on the United States Championship? Okay. And even that didn't work out when Seth Rollins defeated him during this failed attempt. Yeah, but Theory did get the last laugh 19 days later when he won the U.S. title at Survivor Series. Why didn't he just win it on the cash-in? Who cares? Io Sky was the odds-on favorite from fans to become Miss Money in the Bank in 2023, and that's exactly what happened as she managed to get both Bayley and Becky Lynch handcuffed together through the bottom of the ladder, ascending with no interruption to win it all. At SummerSlam 2023, a month later, she capitalized on an injured Bianca Belair, who had just won the Women's Championship and had one of the easiest cash-ins to become Women's Champion. As for the men's side of things, LA Knight was someone that a lot of fans wanted to say, yeah, he got the briefcase, only to fall short in the last second to Damian Priest of the Judgment Day, who has yet to cash in when we recorded this. Are you happy with the 2023 winners? Who's your favorite Money in the Bank winner? Let us know in the comments below and check out more great videos like this from Sportskeeda Wrestling.